Try that. Again with some sound. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading's in-person and virtual Sunday worship service. I'm Rob Craig Coleman, a member of the worship arts team, and my pronouns are he and him. We gather today in a spirit of care and welcome where we seek to nurture and explore individual spirituality, work to build a committed and loving community, and to help heal our fragile community and world. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whoever you love, or whatever your faith tradition or spiritual perspective, we welcome you. If this is your first time with us, I want to extend a special welcome. If you haven't already, please look at our webpage for more information about UUCR. Here you can find details about our church community, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and find contact information for Melissa Martin, our Member Services Coordinator, who can answer any of your questions. Our Share the Plate tradition started more than 2.5 years ago as a spiritual practice of giving half of each Sunday's collection to nonprofit organizations that share our UU values. We do this not because we have more than we need, but because there is so much need. And this is a simple yet powerful way for each of us to live out our mission commitment to heal the world by learning about and supporting the good works of charitable organizations and becoming more involved in our community. The physical collection will be later in our service, but I want to take a moment to tell you about our Share the Plate recipient for the month of August, which is UU Ministries for Earth. UU Ministries for Earth, UUMFE, works with congregations and individuals to help them act together to address environmental justice and the climate crisis. UUMFE provides the tools and develops the coalitions necessary for Unitarian Universalists and others to take bold, faith-based actions for environmental justice. With UUMFE's support, UUs have played a prominent role in environmental and climate justice movements for decades, serving as organizers of Green Faith, 350.org, Greenpeace, and as leaders of Interfaith Power and Light chapters. As a denomination, we have passed more than 36 social witness statements related to the environment and environmental justice dating back to the early 1960s. And now, on behalf of all of the staff and volunteers involved in today's worship, I want to thank you for being with us this morning, physically or virtually. We believe that you belong here. We believe that you belong here maybe just for the next hour, though we hope for longer. You belong here, and we give thanks to you that you are joining us today.
Good morning, everyone. I am Katie McQuaige Lucas, your ministerial intern and your summer worship coordinator. My pronouns are she and hers. Whether near or far, whether you're experiencing this service now or in the future, we know that we are a community of heart and spirit, and we are glad to be together. We are seekers together, longing to know and to be known, to find something true and good, and to grow in love and wisdom. Let us enter this sacred time together by lighting our chalice. The words are in your order of service. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. And now our children's affirmation: we are Unitarian Universalists, the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands. Our opening hymn is number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. And the lyrics are in the order of service, but if you'd like to see the music to sing along, it's in the gray hymnal, number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the lamb dance together in thy home. Hear the cries of mortals silent, fill our own like the sun. May we all serve one another, and our heritage begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our hope and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hearts tell our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, deliverance heaven above.
Let us join together now in our responsive reading, which is in your order of service, but in the hymnal number 610 is entitled The Journey of Love. Where in our hearts is that burning of desire?
It is true that we are made of dust, and the world is also made of dust, but the dust has no right.
Whence comes that drive in us?
We look to the starry sky and love storms in our hearts.
Whence comes that storm?
The journey of love is a very long journey.
But sometimes with a sigh you can cross that vast desert.
Search and search again without losing hope.
You may find sometimes a treasure on your way.
My heart and my eyes are all devoted to the vision. We will begin our time of prayer together by lighting our candle of community and our candles for Ukraine as we maintain our hope for peace. Please join with me in prayer. Spirit of life and of love, in whom we live, move, and have our being, you are the root of our ache of longing, and you are discovered in unexpected joys, in moments of connection and wonder. May our hearts be ever open to that joy, even if it means our hearts are also open to grief. May we know you, Spirit, in all your forms, in the intimacy of dear friends or lovers, in the camaraderie of companions, and the care of family, be that family born or chosen, and the web of relationships in our communities, and the dedication to a cause, and in the hope for a better tomorrow. May those of us with wounded hearts learn or relearn that love can heal, that love can strengthen and renew us. May we be always open to the transformative power of love, to the renewal of our spirits in it, so that we may be able to discern the direction in which life and love will guide us. Amen, and may it be so.
This morning's reading is Human's Core Function is Love by Adrienne Marie Brown. When we are engaged in acts of love, we humans are at our best and most resilient. The love in romance that makes us want to be better people, the love of children that makes us change our whole lives to meet their needs, the love of family that makes us drop everything to take care of them, and the love of community that makes us work tirelessly with broken hearts. Perhaps humans' core function is love. Love leads us to observe in a much deeper way than any other emotion. If love were the central practice of a new generation of organizers and spiritual leaders, it would have a massive impact. If the goal was to increase the love rather than winning or dominating a constant opponent, I would think we could actually imagine liberation from constant oppression. We would suddenly be seeing everything we do, everyone we meet, not through the tactical eyes of war, but through the eyes of love. we would see that there is no such thing as a blank canvas, an empty land, or a new idea. But everything there is complex, ancient, fertile ground full of potential. We would understand that the strength of our movement is in the strength of our relationships, which would only be measured by their depth. Scaling up would mean going deeper, being more vulnerable, and more empathetic.
So despite the heat outside right now and the ongoing, if reduced, isolation of pandemic times, I'm finding myself in a period of turning outward again, slowly returning to life after spending so much time isolated and indoors and turned inward. After years of schooling and working and interning and all of the things that have demanded my time and attention, I'm back to a version of my old self. And I'm not sure that version is exactly healthy. I find that I'm not just reading the headlines, I'm reading endless news articles. I'm following up on all of the political minutia that used to consume me. And all that I'm thinking as I look around and try to rebuild relationships in my life is that love is harder to find out there. It's harder for me to feel it sometimes, and it's sometimes hard for me to live it out the way I wish that I could always live it. And so right now I'm seeing an increase in Christian nationalism, harsher language in the political sphere. And I'm naming that faith without love. It is a vision of the future that is intentionally less loving. I see increasing development in beliefs of control and hierarchy and harm and exclusion and othering. This isn't new. For a long time, our language has been us versus them. It's been domination of others, violations of integrity, a focus on doing it right without compassion or an ethic of care. And in my eyes, that's visibly moving this country at this very moment towards tragedy. And I want to be clear that even beliefs I'm pretty sure I agree with, something that I'm in favor of and that I think is good or necessary, those things too feel as if they may be going awry if these things are pushed for and enacted without love. Hope without love and compassion becomes ruthlessness, utilitarianism, and it harms those it purports to benefit. History has clear lessons for us about utopian vision without an ethic of care and without compassion, and that they are just as harmful as other forms of hierarchy and oppression. And I don't know if we all read all of the same newspapers and all of the same magazines, but one thing that I've noticed in the past several months is a rise of homophobia with shocking speed. And it's following on the heels of an equally fast rise in transphobia. And there I'm seeing institutions such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, they're beginning to treat anti-trans rhetoric as a serious part of our public discourse. Various states are expressing interest in dismantling marriage rights for anyone not perfectly and obviously straight. And there are numerous pieces of legislation in motion to ban gender-affirming care, not only for minors, which is bad enough, but for adults as well. For several months now, Child Protective Services in Texas, they've been opening investigations against parents of trans youth. And that is beginning to stretch to include queer parents as well. And I'm being specific about this subcategory of headlines because it's obviously about love and identity and relationship. But I also mention it because same-sex marriage has been one of the great victories of our movement. The Side with Love campaign was born in this struggle, and it now holds many causes under its larger umbrella. UU ministers were not alone in offering to preside over these marriages well before they were legal, but UU ministers were certainly prominent in the movement and happy to be there. And I want to highlight this victory because I think it's important to talk about how same-sex marriage came to achieve such a measure of acceptance and even a place of pride during this time period. And I want to remind us all that in spite of legislation, same-sex marriage still has over 70% approval ratings in this country. The people want it. And it's because as more and more folks came out, as more and more folks said, I'm queer, I'm gay, I'm a lesbian, people realized that this issue wasn't some nebulous other. It was someone they knew. It was a cousin, a sibling, a friend, a coworker, someone they loved and they cared about. And in a perfect world, it wouldn't take a personal connection to have that kind of empathy and compassion. But I'm not going to turn it down, and I'm not going to say no if that's what caused it to be. Because there is something clarifying about real people in real relationships with one another. The abstract becomes complete and concrete, and suddenly it's our hearts and not just our minds. Our own love becomes a vehicle for hope and faith in a better world. When we were planning a youth service ages ago now, the young people of this community were very clear that the thing that mattered most to them, the thing they said when trying to explain us to their friends, was that this is a place of love, where we can all be who we are without fear, knowing that we will always be held in love, and that enables us to take love out with us into the world. Those of us who did not grow up Unitarian Universalist, we tend to tell stories about belief. We talk about doctrine. But underneath that issue of doctrine, we often name some kind of wound, some sense that in the place where we came from, there wasn't enough love, or that the love was stifled by the doctrine instead of the doctrine being shaped by the love. Most of us are here in this place and community because we want to live out love, because it's the thing we value most highly. And we're here because we want to experience love, both the giving and the receiving. And when I look around right now at injustice and oppression in the world around me, it often feels as if the choice in my own heart is between fury and despair, and that there is not a place for love there. It feels like my choice is between burning it all down and starting over, or giving up. And I don't think that's just me. That's something I've heard from the people around me. I've heard anger and numbness both. I've heard it from friends and colleagues. We spend a lot of time on the phone trying to motivate each other and cheer each other back up. And I've heard it here in this community. And I try to remind people and to remind myself multiple times a day that this negative vision is not and cannot be the whole story. I remind myself that every day I see people taking care of each other. I have friends forming housing co-ops. I have friends unionizing. I see communities and families taking care of each other. And I know so many people who look around to the world as it is right now, and they roll up their sleeves and they get to work in whatever way is available to them. Whether we say it is because human beings are divine, made in the image of God, whether we say it's because human beings have free will and can strive to be more than what we are now, or if we name it as the biological and evolutionary basis for cooperation, whatever we call it, we see in these the tremendous capacity for people to love one another and to take care of one another. Our forebear, Theodore Parker, in The Transient and the Permanent in Christianity, which he preached and wrote around 1840 something. He separated the cultural accretions around religion, behavior, codes, doctrines, from the heart of its truth. And he said that the heart of religion is pure morality, pure religion, the love of man and the love of God in action. He said the only form it demands is a divine life, doing the best thing in the best way from the highest motives, perfect obedience to the law of God. And a more contemporary you might not care for the last bit, obedience to the law of God, but remember that for Parker, the goal of that obedience was to get for a better place, a place of more perfect freedom, where all people can be who we are meant to be. Obedience to God for Parker is the coming of the kingdom of God, what we name the beloved community. And we do still know today that it is not inevitable because human beings are imperfect. And we know that we struggle to aim in the direction we want to go because of the less loving parts of our nature. And the key for Parker, and the reason we still hold this today, is that for Parker, we are the ones who have to figure it out. We are the ones who have to figure out what is true, what is good, what is loving. And that other human beings don't have dominion over truth or us. By putting God in charge, Parker also says that all humans are co-equal and co-creators in the building of our world. And I think today we would simply name it love, knowing that it doesn't matter if love is human or divine, as long as it is true and we seek to follow it. That perfect freedom to be wholly oneself can only come in a world built on love. We can only be free by imagining what the world might be if love were placed over profit, over competition, and over power. And I believe that the task is well within our reach because we do know what love looks like. We may not be able to imagine a perfect utopia, but we know in the intimacy of our own relationships. We know love in our experiences of the holy. We know love in our experience of communities. In many ways, we are experts in what love can look like. And a vision of beloved community is simply at a greater scale, larger and deeper. It's a scale that transforms the ordinary care of our immediate connections into a larger vision of justice. Not just faith, not just hope. It is love that lies at the heart of Unitarian Universalism. And it is love that will sustain us all in the days to come. Amen. And may it be so.
Our congregation exists and thrives through the gifts of those who call this place their spiritual home. If you were here with us in the sanctuary, you may put your gift in the collection plate as it goes by. Otherwise, you may make a gift online or send a check. Whatever form your giving takes, please give as generously as you are willing and able to our Share the Plate offering to support UU MFE and the mission of UUCR. And if this is your first time with us, please let the plate pass you by. Your presence is gift enough.
I have a closing reading for us this morning, and it is from Enfleshed, which is a community of folks who write resources for worship and teaching that finds the holy in embodiment, in the here and in the now, and in the sacredness of the earth and of all life. And on love, they write, "Love cannot be bought or sold. It does not make a profit. Love does not hide from truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on flesh. Love is queer. Love is platonic. Love is erotic. Love is asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps and flirts and feeds and creates. Love is risky. Love challenges systemic evil in all its forms. Love is simple but not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love pays reparations. Love heals. Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone, every creature, every creation. It knows us intimately. It holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to confine it. It will not tolerate violence in its name. It does no harm. It only sets free. And our closing hymn this morning is one many of you know very well, "Love Will Guide Us." And it's number 131 in the gray hymnal. If you'd like to see it in that form, please rise as you are willing and able, in body or in spirit, and join in singing our closing hymn.
Love will guide us, peace has guide us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the love. Sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can hear from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace inside us, hope inside us. We'll lead the way, we'll lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the water.
Please join in extinguishing our chalice together. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. My benediction this morning for you is from Elena Westbrook. Go in hope, for the arc of the universe is long and we can bend it toward justice. Go in courage, for together we have the strength to confront injustice in our daily lives and in the larger world. Go in love, because a holy and generous love is both the reason and the means by which we transform our lives. So may you find that love in the week to come, and may it carry you and may it sustain you. Blessed be, and go in peace. Last minute, and
I know.
like threw it together.
Yeah.